こんにちは、みんな。そして、ホストのジョシュア・フランシスコ・ミッチェルと羽鳥のマシュー・ビビアンが予定されている2本立てのエピソード12へようこそ。マット、お元気ですか?
Is that it? That's it. That's great. Hello.
Yep. Yeah, it was your line. It ends with "How are you, Matt?"
Oh, I'm fantastic, thank you.
For everyone at home who is uncultured, I'll translate that, such as Matt, who didn't answer immediately. Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 12 of Slated Double Features, with your hosts, Joshua Francisco Mitchell, and my bird of a feather, Matthew Vivian.
Oh,
how are you, Matt?
I'm great, thank you. What a lovely way of describing me.
I thought of a bird-related intro.
Well, there is he's not even a real bird, but there is kind of a heron in Boy and the Heron. What episode number are we calling this? Because we have a lost episode, the previous one.
We do have a lost episode. Yeah, if you didn't see on our Instagram story, firstly, what are you doing?
Oh, get a life.
Follow us. And on TikTok. Matt does our TikTok.
No, I don't. I've never been on our TikTok. I just have heard that we have one.
So we plan to do an end of the year roundup with a best of and worst of. But one of us, and I don't want to name names because I don't want to embarrass
yourself.
One of us.
Yeah.
It could be either one of us.
It's not
lost
me.
Their half of the best of. So episode 11 was just a worst of the year, which is still such a great episode. It made it even better, really, that it was just the worst of, because we sound more contrarian.
I mean, we could upload just me talking, just my side of the conversation, just me talking about how much I love bottoms, and then just loads of silence. But
you love what?
No, what? No.
Oh my god!
It's a film. It's a motion picture.
Never heard of that. Maybe I'll like ad lib to your half. I'll guess what I had said to your responses. Yeah, so we do have a missing episode. It's like that one missing episode of SpongeBob, except no one will care enough about finding ours. So that's gone forever. So this week we will be doing a very Japanese-centric episode, if you hadn't have guessed. We will be looking at bottoms. And
what?
Not really. The Boy and the Heron and Godzilla -1.
Great.
What an exciting week.
Well, it is exciting, but we sort of had a bit of a break between Christmas, New Year's. I was editing my feature, Joshua was working. We were just sort of wound down a little bit, and that means that I watched Godzilla -1 about 2 weeks ago and The Boy and the Heron like 1 week ago. So I'm going to try and remember them as best I can.
How's the editing going?
It's going very well, thank you. Yeah. I mean, it's such a huge task editing a feature, way more than I thought it would be, especially when the rushes aren't necessarily how I wanted them a lot of the time. We don't have all the coverage I wanted. But, I mean, I'm sure that's the case with loads of things. But it's fine. I mean, there's some scene, I've done about half an hour of it, I'm pretty happy with. It's pretty strong. And then the rest of it, I just need to do what I can with.
Yeah, I've been lucky enough to watch the first 6 minutes. Is it picture lock? Did you say that picture lock?
I think pretty
Almost.
much. Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
There'll be some more sound, a couple of other things, but yeah, pretty much.
Which is such a great start, such a strong start to Matt's feature. And for those listeners out there who I'm sure you know of Matt's feature, Mayfly, we spoke about it multiple times, but it was filmed in a very unique way. What happened? What was the old shooting side of this that makes it kind of different from another feature?
Like in interviews with directors, when someone asks them, like, what advice do you have for making our own films? And they basically, loads of them say, I've heard loads of different directors say this, like, back in our day, we had to spend so much money on film. If we were like you and we had access to, like, phones, we would just film so many shorts on our phones. And so I thought,
but take into account, they can use their phones and $1 million worth of budget that they would have.
They would have had if they didn't spend it on film.
Yeah.
But so I thought, like, well, that is kind of true, because at the end of the day, you look at old sort of shorts and they are in like terrible film quality, and yeah, that looks quite nice artistically, but yeah, I mean, if you get recognised more for the talent, the direction and the writing and the acting and stuff.
Yeah.
So I thought, like, all right, well, whenever I've worked on like a couple of amateur features, and there's so much time spent on like setting up camera and stuff and making sure everything's in focus. I thought, well, phones, autofocus, auto exposure, pretty much. Great, let's do that. Just point and shoot. I wouldn't personally do that again. There's certain times it was certainly really easy, and there are some bits that look great, but then just it's temperamental. Some shots look absolutely awful, and it's really hard to they're really bad in low light, for instance, and and they're also, every shot's so inconsistent, the colouring of it, because it just like uses AI these days to just give you what it thinks is the best image. So it's so hard to colour grade, and
we ended up shooting it on 3 like quote unquote cameras
with it. Google Pixel 7 Pro, which is meant to be like the best phone camera, but and sometimes it looks incredible. It looks just
sometimes
like
it's great,
a normal camera,
really good.
There's just, I don't know, certain things it just can't do.
Even weirdly, because we filmed on my Pixel and Matt's Pixel, the quality between the two of them are like a night and day.
Mine
For some
looks really
reason,
good. Joshua's looks awful.
mine is all over the shop, and it's so weird. We researched it and we matched settings and we did everything we could to try and reduce any sort of discrepancy in image and quality and all of that jazz. But they ended up being so different. It's such a weird, I don't know, it's just so bizarre.
Yeah, I don't know why it is. But yeah, I'm editing that. It's coming along quite well, but it's still going to be ages away.
Yeah, that's very exciting.
Yeah.
No, I'm excited to watch all of it. Every single bit.
Oh boy, I hope everyone watches every single bit.
And I know all of our listeners at home are going to watch every single bit as well. I have a feeling.
Yeah.
Because they've all just followed our Instagram
Bloody
and
better
your
after
TikTok.
all the effort I put into it. What is it, 85 minutes out of your life? That's not very long. I just thought we need to talk. There's so many things we need to talk about because it's been like 2 weeks since our last one. We've got a lot of catch-up stuff to do.
We do. So, are you saying that... Let me get this right. Are you saying that you want to go into our weekly roundup yeehaw?
I would love nothing more.
Let's go
I can't
rapid.
remember what I did last time. Did I talk about...
Most of mine are Christmas films.
I watched most of the Wallace and Gromit. I watched The Grin... Oh, I won't go that far back. I watched It's a Sin. It's fantastic. Did I talk about that last week? Maybe. I don't know. I watched Paddington 2. Obviously a masterpiece. Unfortunately, no longer Rotten Tomatoes' highest rated film.
Oh.
Because what it was, if anyone doesn't know, it had 100% on Rotten Tomatoes with the most reviews, which means it's like the highest rated film on there, which everyone was very happy with because it's just a great film.
It's great.
It's a great family film.
I watched it over Christmas as well.
Yeah.
It's brilliant.
It's fantastic. Now, someone's given it a lower review, which means it's been knocked down. And so the current highest rated film is Leave No Trace, directed by Deborah Krennic, which is actually a pretty good film. I like it a lot. I watched The Holdovers. That's fantastic.
Oh, I still haven't seen it.
Yeah.
All I've seen is the Paul Giamatti picture of him in In-N-Out Burger with his Golden Globe.
Oh, yeah, I saw that. No, it's really good. I do think it's kind of... it's not particularly like anything I haven't seen before. I don't know, it didn't feel like fresh to me particularly, but it's and maybe it took me a while to get into it. I mean, I was always in a little bit, but it's good. It's really good.
I do need to watch it.
I watched Greg Wallace, the British Miracle Meat, which is it's like a hoax TV special about human meat. It's very funny. It's very clever stuff.
What? It's just a straight comedy bit.
Well, it's like it pretends to be like a real documentary.
Okay.
But about like the cost of living crisis, people are like donating their flesh.
Oh,
and
God.
it's like, and anytime they're like, yeah, but does it hurt? Like the doctors are like, oh, it's pain subjective, and it would just get more and more crazy until they start like doing like children.
That seems very appropriate in today's climate.
It's really good, like satire, and it's just really funny too. Like the way it's shot is like exactly like a real like British documentary, like by Greg Wallace. It's great. I watched Are You There, God? It's Me, Margaret. Brilliant, loved it.
Well, I remember seeing big posters for that and us laughing at it because it looked dumb. It's actually good.
No, it's actually good. Well, we were going to watch it in the cinema together, but then we watched The Little Mermaid instead because I think there wasn't a screening of it.
What a regret. Yeah,
it's better than The Little Mermaid. I liked it.
Does she find God?
She does. I watched Rebel Moon Part 1, A Child of Fire. It's one of the
and you loved that?
most boring and unoriginal films I've ever seen in my life. It's just... Have you seen Star Wars? Episode 4, A New Hope, mainly? Seen that?
No, but carry on.
Oh, well, watch Rebel Moon then, because it's exactly the same film. But
sick.
It's
Will
just,
I be blown away at how original it is?
You'll be blown away by it. I mean, the visuals are stunning. Like, you know, like when you move, like the speed you move in, like
yes.
Zack Snyder, like thinks outside the box and he does it like that, but slower, so you can see like even more of
joking.
Time. So
you are joking.
So like if there's an action scene, like someone is like getting punched or something, and then it will be like that, but it's like 10 times as long, which means
that
it's
sounds
better.
really unique. It sounds really unique and interesting.
Yeah.
And it sounds like he would use that very sparingly to make it the most effective.
No, but here's the thing.
Moment.
He does it all the time, which is so sick. And
that's really sick.
And I just think it's so clever how he didn't waste his time writing a new script. He just took Star Wars and then he crossed out some of the names and then he put new names in, and I thought that was like
More boring names.
Yeah, more boring names. Yeah. Like the Empire, he just crossed out and wrote the Motherworld. That's a good name.
That's great.
So,
That's great.
I mean, Star Wars is
I
pretty
hate
old.
mothers.
77. I mean, you need it updated for modern day. So yeah, he just
You
did
do.
Star Wars. So I'm looking forward to part 2 coming out in like February or something. Eileen is not great. It's okay. May December's really good. I would recommend that. Anatomy of a Fall. Have you seen that?
Oh, I haven't.
It's fantastic.
Oh, I really
Give it
want
a
to watch it.
It's really good. You'll have PIMP stuck in your head. I watched The Towering Inferno. That was really good. I love that a lot. 1974 film about people stuck in a skyscraper on fire. Because my mum loves those sorts of films. She loves a disaster. I watched Howl's Moving Castle. Really good.
Yeah.
I loved I just love it. I'm sure I'll talk about
the Turnip
more
Man?
later. Turnip Man. He was one of the weaker parts. He was alright. He did the job. I watched Yes Day. It was absolutely shit. I rewatched Spider-Verse. Across the Spider-Verse, that is fantastic. I watched The Shawshank Redemption for the first time. Oh my god.
you did.
What a masterpiece that is.
What? Yeah, great. What about when he's covered in poo at the end?
Oh, it's so funny. I love how they just ended on such a silly note. It was so, yeah, it's because people are obviously said a lot, like, this is the greatest film ever made. And I'd be like, okay, well, I'm sure it's good, but I watched it, I was like, this is genuinely an absolute masterpiece. I gave it 5 stars, 10 out of 10.
Can you believe it was a flop when it came out?
I know, and the reviews were like mixed to positive.
Yeah.
How can you watch that and not think like this is incredible?
It was only because it didn't do very well, and so was shown a lot on TV that people then started watching it going, wait a second, what's going on here? And famously hated by Stephen King as well.
Well, Stephen King hates every good adaptation of his work. I do want to watch his like TV version of The Shining at some point. It's just the fact that it's about 4 times the length of The Good Shining.
What, you mean Ready Player One?
Oh yeah, I've watched 2 more films. I'll speed through them. The Great Escaper, Michael Caine's last film role.
Oh,
It's a story about, it's a true story about a 89-year-old man, I think, who escaped from his old people's home to go to Normandy for a D-Day, what is it, 70th anniversary thing, and he just got on the news because I think they told him, like, you can't go, you're not well enough, you have to go with everyone you didn't sign up in time or something, and he just was like, right, I'm just going to get on a bus and then get on a ferry and go there anyway.
Yeah.
So it's a lovely story for a 20-minute short at most, but they just have to add in loads, just pad it out with like other stuff that is just not relevant and not as good. So it's okay.
Taking a news story and turning it into a feature.
Yeah, and also that same year they made another film where Pierce Brosnan played that part, like about the same story. But I think they changed the name. They set it in Northern Ireland. But yeah, that was a bit weird.
Is that you rounded up?
I've got one more. Beau's Afraid. Didn't like it very much.
Oh, you finally watched it?
Yeah, I watched it. I thought I liked. Obviously, I could see a lot of artistry in it, and there was like moments that I liked, especially like nearer the start.
The first part is
just creating
so good,
this world of like
flat.
just a stressful environment
of hell,
and everyone is like literally hell. That was really excellent, and then I just felt like it just went on and on and on and on. And I think for a 3-hour movie like that, I need to be, especially when it's about like a guy just getting traumatized, I need to really connect with him as a character. When I just didn't care about Beau at all, like he was annoying more than anything. Like he could talk his way out of any situation, and instead he'd just be like, and it's like, just grow up.
For me, it was I don't mind the approach to story, like the snapshot of stories.
It was quite
I don't mind that.
Like,
it's like a road trip film, isn't it?
Yeah.
Where you go from scenario to scenario and eventually get to where you'll go in, and it all kind of folds into itself. But they felt so detached that it builds up in this first segment, and then does he go to the house next, the family?
Yeah, he does, with Pat.
And then
what's his name?
Not Patton Oswalt.
No, it's not him.
Yeah. But then it just like stops, grounds to a halt, and then
Nathan
that bit
Lane.
builds up again. Yes. And then that bit ends, and then it stops, and then grounds to a halt.
Yeah.
And then does it again. Like there's no upkeep of momentum throughout.
No.
In that case, just release it as like short films if you want. If that's what you want to do,
I could see
then,
that bit.
Then do
that
it
quite well. And then like the ending is so. It just tries to do like twist, and it's like I don't care. Like this is just so you lose any sense of reality to it, any like stakes. I don't get some people.
What about the Big Willie?
See, I heard loads about that, and I thought it'd be much better than it was. When I saw it, I was like, oh, that's actually quite rubbish.
It's like Enemy, but worse, isn't it? That twist at the end.
Is that the one with the giant spider? But it's not really...
Yeah.
I have seen that one. Oh, I didn't really think much of that. But yeah, no, some people have been giving it like 5 stars, and it's like, I was just watching it, like, this is definitely Ari Aster's worst film. Like, without a doubt, it's his worst one. I was really losing interest so much for 3 hours.
Overindulgent.
Yeah, absolutely.
Unfortunately.
Yeah, and he thinks it's his best film, but he's wrong.
Yeah, have you heard the interviews where he's like, if you don't like this film, you just don't get it. There's so much that you haven't unpacked.
I completely get what he was going for. I just didn't like it. I got it. Trust me. I just didn't. I just didn't really click with it. Do you want to round up like 2 weeks of movies?
I'll round up. Because I've been working, I haven't seen anything. I've got 5 films. I get in from work, and I've been going to bed at 8 p.m. and getting up at like 4 a.m. So I've had no time to do anything except work. I feel like a cog in the machine. But hey-ho, I watched Mean Girls for maybe the first time.
I will watch it before the new one comes out. I'm excited. Did you like it?
It was pretty good. It was very 2004.
But I love that.
Yeah,
I get
why it's so
for that
iconic.
sort of era.
Yeah, great. I prefer Heathers. I think it's just Heathers, but not as good.
I haven't seen Heathers, but I heard the musical
it's still very
good. Whereas the Mean Girls musical I've heard is quite good.
I've heard the other way around. I've seen Heathers musical and liked it, but the Mean Girls musical isn't very good.
Oh. Well, we'll see when it comes out. I'm sure in about 2 episodes' time we'll be doing it.
But yeah, very good, very iconic, very quotable, but doesn't have a young Christian Slater looking pretty hot, which is loses a star for me. I started Spirited, the Will Ferrell, Ryan Reynolds Christmas film, and stopped after 10 minutes.
That's understandable.
And then I put on Scrooged instead, the Bill Murray Christmas film, and that was pretty good.
Was it good?
I like that. I watched Paddington 2. We talked about it. 5 stars. I watched Letter to Brezhnev.
Don't know that one.
I was round my friend's flat for Christmas, and they had a selection of VHS tapes, and one of them was Letter to Brezhnev, and I saw that Alfred Molina was in it.
Okay.
So we watched it. I didn't really like it. I thought it was quite boring.
Okay.
But according to their mum, when this film came out in 85, you never really had female leads who were horny.
Okay.
And this is very groundbreaking because they are very horny.
Nice.
So if you're looking for that, great, go and watch it.
That's what I look for
and then
in
I
a
watched
movie.
yeah. And then I watched The Boy and the Heron.
Oh boy,
Ooh.
I've seen that too. Is that everything then?
That's it. That's
wow.
literally me.
No, that's for the best though, because I watched a million things.
So, let's start by looking at Godzilla Minus One, the 33rd Japanese Godzilla film, produced and distributed by Toho, would you believe?
And the 37th in total. Wow, what a lot of Godzilla films. But
Wowza.
my first though, not Bowser.
Your first?
No, Godzilla.
Yeah.
I know they look similar.
Sorry, yeah, Godzilla, yeah. What was the plot, Matt, for your first Godzilla film?
The plot of this film that I watched 15 days ago, but I seem to remember the plot is, end of Second World War, you know, Japanese, you know, they had the kamikaze pilots, they were like suicide pilots, right?
Yep,
This
I know
guy
that.
is meant to be one of them. He pretends he's got a fault in his plane so he can land on a small island, which is where they have like plane repairs, so that he could like basically not have to suicide himself. Anyway, he's there. Oh my god, who shows up but Godzilla? You know Godzilla from
Legendary Godzilla from Godzilla.
Godzilla. Yeah. He shows up, he wreaks havoc. Kamikaze guy survives. Goes back to Tokyo after the war's ended now, so he survived it. Goes back to Tokyo. Everyone is dead. He has a bit of survivor's guilt. Like his family are dead. There's like it's just like slums. Like there's like one woman, like his next door neighbour's alive. Some random girl with a baby is alive, but the baby's not hers. And he sort of starts a sort of like a family with the girl and the baby. Just basically out of we've all got no one. Let's just look after each other.
Situational family.
And then, wouldn't you know it, Godzilla comes back.
Oh, don't.
And it just sort of goes on from there.
What did you think to Godzilla Minus One?
I thought it was absolutely brilliant. I loved it.
I'm very interested to hear about your thoughts on this, with it being your first Godzilla. You haven't even seen Godzilla Plus One. You haven't seen Godzilla 1.
No, I haven't seen -2. Haven't watched.
You haven't seen any
Squared.
of them.
I've not watched any of them. Square root of Godzilla.
Yeah.
I think what I did love. Talking about like Godzilla himself, the monster.
Yes. Yeah. Okay. Let's start with the big man.
So I've never seen the Gareth Edwards one, but from what I'm aware, he's got very little screen time. They very much do like a Jaws type thing. You hear a lot about his reputation, and you see in darkness, you might see like a bit of his body. He's got a few minutes screen time, and that's it.
Big scale. That's what Gareth Edwards does. That's what he does very well in Rogue One. In what was that other film that you really liked that he did?
Oh, The Creator.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, my favourite.
Yeah, he does scale very well, and that's kind of one of the big standouts from the 2014 one.
He does, but so that seems to be like Jaws type thing. So like it's more effective if we just see as little as possible, and like a horror movie type thing. So it's often said, you have a lot of darkness in horror films because it's just such an easy way of getting scares at people because they imagine what's there, and that is scarier than what you can actually see. And so it's just easier from a directing point of view because if you show everything clearly, then it's really, really hard to make that feel like a threat and make it effective. Then that's why films like Midsummer by Ari Aster are so effective because it shows that he's a great director because there's no darkness. It's all broad daylight and it's terrifying. And I think this also shows just great direction because every time you see Godzilla 4 times in the movie for quite extended periods. The first time is in darkness, but you can see him full body clearly.
Terrifying. Every other time, the first time he shows up, boy.
When I first saw him, I thought like, oh, he's smaller than I thought he'd be, but it seemed to me like because it's set a couple of years later when you next see him, he seemed a lot bigger.
Yeah, I think he grows throughout.
Yeah,
he's very small. Yeah,
but so you see him so clearly throughout the whole thing, and he's such a threat, and he really is like scary, and like you feel such danger from him, and that's just testament to just how well he's directed and how well he's designed. Because like I know that the director was one of the visual effects supervisors.
So this is Takashi Yamazaki was the director.
Yeah, I know he modelled Godzilla. Well, he didn't finish, like he was finished off, but he said like by someone more talented than me. But he like came up with a design, and I thought it was a great design. I loved it. The CGI was great. It's nominated for, I think, shortlisted for best visual effects at the Oscars.
Well deserved.
I thought he always felt like tangible. He felt like, I think he looked like a model almost you could have on your shelf. Like the texture of him, like he felt like a real thing. And his face, I thought was perfect. How it was like sort of expressionless. In that it was like dead behind the eyes, but it looked like a creature and it looked like evil in a way. I think it almost had like the face of sort of like a Chinese dragon type thing, like it sort of big eyes and like a big mouth, but like not really moving, but feeling like a living thing, like an animal. It felt like, I don't know. It's just so good. The portrayal of Godzilla was so good. What did you think?
It was great. I loved it. So what I loved most about the film was with the original Godzilla being a way for Japanese filmmakers and artists to get around the enforced propaganda put on them by the Americans after the war. That they weren't allowed to do any art or talk of the nuclear bombs that fell. So Godzilla was a way to express feelings around that and create a character that embodies these feelings.
That's
Godzilla
so
coming in and tearing through. That's why he's got like this nuclear breath, and that's why he's awoken by a bomb going out in the sea.
I mean, I knew that he was a metaphor for like the nuclear bombs, but I didn't know that it was like because they had to do that rather than just because they wanted to make a monster movie that was a metaphor of that. That's very interesting. It's
so they couldn't build up like hatred towards America after everything happened. So it's like if you don't talk about it,
strange
then you
considering
can't
like one of the next films they did was like Godzilla and Kong, and
I know.
And then they did like an Americanized version of it in that.
And you haven't seen the first Godzilla, but
I haven't seen any of them.
It's great. It's so good.
I tried to watch the first Godzilla. I couldn't find it anywhere.
I know, it's one of those films that should be buried. It's
like,
really sad.
I couldn't even like pirate it. I couldn't find it anywhere, which is so strange considering it's so famous.
Yeah, but it's great. You don't see Godzilla a lot. It's a lot about character, and it's a lot about building on that metaphor of how it has affected the Japanese people, and really delving deep into that with the aim of killing Godzilla. Like, that's the arc. But since then, you've kind of lost that. He's now a protector of Japan. He saved Japan from other monsters. He's been taken by America, and American Godzilla is his own thing now, and he's even more commercialized than the Japanese one. So it's nice to see a take on the original Godzilla that still has something to say.
He's not just a big monster it's cool seeing him destroy cities. Like there's a reason for him. There's a that is good.
With themes throughout this that I think we'll talk more in spoilers, but I think it was such an interesting spin on the first one, and it like you said, it does it so well. All the human characters are so interesting. They're unique. You're invested in what they're doing.
Yeah. I think if Godzilla wasn't in the film, if it was just a drama about a kamikaze pilot who survived and him trying to regain his life sort of after the war, it would still be a fantastic film.
Yeah, it's great.
Which, for these sorts of movies, it's like the Transformers movies. Like, you can't have Transformers in every scene. It's too expensive. Like, you need humans, and often they're like the worst part of the movie, or like, you know, they're you know, you've got an obligation to have them, but they're not necessarily that good. Like, the human side of this was so good, so interesting.
Strong. And I'm sure you've seen that it was supposedly made on a $15 million budget, but this has been disputed and confirmed, and who knows? But you look it up and it's still 15 million.
But it's definitely not like anywhere near as much as you sort of think it would be from looking at it. No.
To date, it's grossed 94 million worldwide and is the most successful Japanese Godzilla film of all time. One of the most successful Japanese films in America of all time.
Yeah.
It's well deserved.
I'm very surprised that, you know, the best international feature at the Oscars, countries like submit their own film and they can only submit one. I'm very surprised that Japan didn't put forward either Godzilla -1 or The Boy and the Heron, because either of them would have probably stood a chance of winning.
What did they submit?
Oh God, I can't remember. I'd have to look that up.
Let me have a look.
But it's one that I never heard of. Now, that might be a better film. I'm sure it's a masterpiece, but it's just it's such like an American bias awards thing that you think they'd put forward a film that like American audiences might have seen. It's the same with like France didn't put Anatomy of a Fall. Anatomy of a Fall would have won. Like, I don't know why they didn't pick it. It won the Palme d'Or. People have seen it in like the US and UK. It would have won. Just, I don't know why they didn't submit it.
Japan submitted Perfect Days.
Okay.
I haven't seen it.
Never heard of it.
A co-production between Japan and Germany. The film combines 4 short stories. Okay. Great. I haven't seen it.
I normally, if it gets like nominated, like I normally watch the 5 nominations. It's just, I don't know, that just seemed like a very strange choice to me from both Japan and France's part to like not pick the ones which were really big in like America.
Yeah. Oh, the UK submitted Zone of Interest.
We did, yeah.
I wish I could see it. I wish it was out.
I wish it was out. Yeah, I know.
I would very much like to talk about spoilers.
Is
there anything else you'd like to talk about?
No, I don't think so. No.
Other than go and see it. If you haven't seen it, go and see it.
Yeah, I've heard it's it's really good. I've heard Shin Godzilla's very good too. That was like another one.
I've heard that as well. I haven't seen it.
Yeah,
but I've heard that as well. I think that's more of a monster movie than this kind of.
I think it's still got like a lot of social commentary, but I believe it's about like big corporations and stuff, like big capitalist business.
I think in that one they're able to salvage a single piece of Godzilla, and they then make like a big attraction around it. Okay. I can't exactly remember which part of Godzilla they salvage.
Are you doing a silly joke here? Is this just a bit of shenanigans? Are you taking me for a fool?
Can you think of which part of Godzilla they salvaged in that film that you just mentioned?
Is it his shin?
It is. I think it is. On to spoilers. What a lovely way of turning the Godzilla story and refocusing it on life and learning to live and surviving and moving on. What a lovely arc that the main character goes through.
And it's so well done that like it really does convince you, like in the final act I was like, oh God, he is going to kamikaze himself. And it's like, I'm not sure this is a great thing to be promoting, but at the same time that also felt like part of his finishing his arc, and it meant that I sort of didn't know how it was going to go. Yeah, because I both wanted his arc to end with him regaining the honor, I guess, of finally saving people by kamikaze piloting, and also like, but he needs to be there for his family. And the fact they so successfully do kind of both things. I love films that have characters coming up with a really clever plan and then really satisfyingly watching them execute it. Yeah. Like, I love The Great Escape, and like just stuff like that is so, I just love that stuff so much.
And it was a clever, unique way of killing Godzilla in this as well.
It was.
What did they do?
They oh god, it's been 2 weeks. They tied some like buoyancy things around him on like big cables that were attached to ships. They like drove around him in a circle and tightened it, and then I can't remember how they did it, but it like pulled him really, really far down below the sea.
With like the aims of crushing him through pressure. And then they brought him back, and then that was like plan A if that would kill him, but they kind of thought it wouldn't, and we knew at the audience, like, well, if they got a plan B, they're going to get to the plan B, and it yanked him up to the surface to like basically kill him from giving him the bends. Yeah.
And it's, you think like on paper, like, okay, so drowning and giving the bends to Godzilla is like, I don't know if that's a very like cinematic way of killing him, but it was because it was such a real way that you could kill a giant monster like that, and all the characters took it so seriously, and every character had like a different role in the plan. It was just so satisfying to watch.
So great.
And when the original movie theme tune kicked in,
when he's going through the city and god,
I had
what a great
chills
thing.
down my spine. I had a big. It was when they were in the boats, like driving around him in a circle. It's like that original theme play.
Yeah.
I had the biggest smile on my face.
So good. And then when he starts to regenerate, and you're like, oh god, here we go.
Because we'd seen earlier in the film the effects of his like atomic breath, like, and it's just so well shot. Like, what I love is when it like blasts everyone away, and then like because of the pressure, like of the
like the vacuum,
like everyone
almost.
like gets thrown back again, the other way. So good.
Yeah, the
so
city
when we saw
stuff
that
was
in the
great.
final act,
Him like tearing through, grabbing the train and all that stuff. I'm probably wrong because I haven't seen all of them, but I thought it was a nice way to like fight Godzilla at the end in the sea, because usually you would kind of think of him going through the city and then loads of tanks firing at him. But having to think of a way to use boats. That's quite a novel scenario. I don't know what the -1 in the title's about though.
I'll tell you.
Oh,
so well, I might have this wrong. This is like from what I googled 2 weeks ago.
Okay.
But I believe in like Japanese culture they have like a concept of like they associate like zero with how Japan was post Second World War, how everything was its lowest point, like economically destroyed, like their cities were destroyed, like people were dead. It was like their lowest point almost. So they have like the concept of like zero associated with that, and so this is like that. And then Godzilla shows up. It's like even worse. That's from my understanding. That's what it means. When I first heard it, I assumed that would mean it's like a prequel to the original film.
Yeah,
but it's not, because Godzilla dies at the end.
But does he?
But well, that's the thing. They do have like in typical like monster movie genre, like there's always like you see an egg that hatches or something.
Yeah.
Like you see a bit. I couldn't really tell what it is, but there's like part of him seems to regenerate, possibly. It looked like there was almost like an inflating like sack on him, like it was like
something
a baby
was coming
coming
back.
out. Something was going on, and then the girlfriend wife character has like got some radiation poisoning or something, which is a bit peak because it basically means that all the characters are going to die within a few years. I kind of liked it having a really happy ending.
With it being a Japanese production, and not being Japanese, something that always flags up, especially when you've got like you think of Squid Game, as
Korean, you're racist.
An English speaker, and you see all the performances from the Korean actors, you're like, wow, they're great, they're really good. And then you get English speakers in there being directed by non-English speakers, and they are the worst performances you've ever seen in your entire life. I completely agree with that. Extrapolating that to this, being a non-Japanese speaker and seeing the performances with subtitles, they are so over the top. Although it's all very serious, they are like heightened. Like when the main character like falls to his knees and screams, and like that kind of
you always get that from Asian things.
Really
it's
expressionate.
Like, it's like watching the comparison between like the Korean old boy and the American old boy. Like at the end when the main character, like it's revealed like what's happened to, like in the Korean one, like he's on his knees, he's begging, he's screaming, he's crying, he got snot going down his nose. He's like just gone crazy in every way, and it's just such a electric performance. It's fantastic. And then you watch like
Josh Brolin
doing it, and
please don't do it.
he like squats, but he doesn't even fall to his knees. Like he just is like, and he just stands still, and it's just terrible. Yeah, I really love how they really go all out with emotions in.
Yeah, that for me, that's the only bit that I was like, I like how Godzilla is very silly. Godzilla is inherently very silly, so it would have been nice if everything was completely straight. Like it's never humorous, but
I don't know
if the performances were a bit more straight for me. In my personal taste.
No, I don't know. I thought they were pretty serious. The characters got emotional, but the main guy would do. I mean, he was like very like PTSD driven, very just traumatized by the whole thing. I don't know. I thought it was very good. I thought all the performances were great. What I loved about like being a new like a remake sort of, it would sort of set up Godzilla a bit again, and the characters would like hear about him a bit, and they'd be like, "Oh, I don't believe you about this giant bird." Like it would do that big old build up, but no, it was literally like, "Oh, Godzilla's here right away."
Yeah.
Every character's like, "Oh yeah, this is Godzilla." And they're like, "What?" Okay.
Yeah, I think the villagers called him Godzilla. Oh, okay.
Yeah. I love how there was no wasting time on that, because it's the 37th Godzilla film. People are like, yeah, we know who Godzilla is. Let's just get straight to it.
It's like seeing Batman's parents die again. Like, we know. Okay.
I liked in Spider-Man Homecoming where they were like, yeah, you know his origin. Let's just start with a Spider-Man film.
The only version of that kind of retelling that I really liked is probably from Batman vs. Superman. I don't know if you've seen that one.
I've seen that one, yeah.
Yeah, because I don't know if you remember, Batman's parents get killed, but it's all in slow motion.
Well, that's good, because otherwise I might have missed it.
Yeah, I don't know who directed that one, but it was such a unique and novel way of doing it that I was like, that's great. So maybe if they revealed Godzilla in slow motion in this, it would have worked.
I would have noticed it a bit more.
Just an idea. Yeah, I don't know what else there is to talk about Godzilla Minus One. Have you got any other thoughts?
So. I just think it's fantastic.
Fantastic.
It's really great. Every part of the film's fantastic. I'd love to see it again. The action's great. It's so great.
Sound design, great.
He's such a presence.
Score, lovely.
It seems like, if we're comparing it to like Gareth Edwards' one, from my understanding, well, all these like MonsterVerse ones, my understanding is Godzilla feels like such a threat because all of the powers of like the US military can't stop him. Yeah. Whereas in this, he feels like a threat because they have nothing, and he's so powerful, and it's
down to the people, to like the veterans of the war, to try and figure it out, because the government don't give a shit.
The remnants that are left, and I love that as like two different ways of showing how powerful he is. Either with we've got all our forces and there's nothing, or he's so powerful and we have nothing, but we have to do it anyway.
Yeah. Go and see it if you haven't seen a Godzilla film. It's a great place to start.
If it's still in the cinema, watch it, but I don't know if it will be.
If it's not playing, go to your local Odeon and ask to see the manager and say that you must see it at the cinema right this second. And if you don't, you shall scream. And then he has to do it. He legally has to do it. It's within his contract.
Yeah.
What did you rate Godzilla Minus One?
I rated it 4.5 stars.
Ooh, very cheeky. I also rated it 4.5. Well done, Godzilla.
Well done. You delivered a fantastic film there. That was Godzilla
very
Minus
good.
One. Thank you. Would you like to tell the people at home a little summary of The Boy and the Heron?
Get this.
Yep.
World War II. It's on. It's on again.
It's on?
Yes. Yeah, right now.
I've just had enough of Japanese World War II.
Well,
you're telling me there's
get ready
another
for
film out about
a second helping. This isn't Godzilla.
I don't know if my heart can take this.
This is The Boy and the Heron. World War II's happening. And we follow Mahito, Japanese youth from Tokyo, who is suffering with trauma following his mother's death in a burning hospital. He is then sent from his home in Tokyo to live with his dad, played by Christian Bale, and his new mum, who is also his auntie, which was a bit confusing, but we get to that. He tries to settle in, but starts getting harassed by a heron, and then follows the heron into this magical mystery realm, and things start to pick up from there. And oh boy, do they pick up.
Things certainly happen from start to finish. And they simply won't stop. What did you think of it?
I liked it.
I thought you might.
I'm a big fan of Ghibli bits, as you know. I'm a big fan of the vibes. Yeah. Which, if you don't like the vibes, you will not like this film.
I think you've just described me.
90% of this film was the vibes.
It was... Right, I will come clean. I watched the film in the cinema. I fell asleep in the middle. So
Oh my God.
But I kept dipping in and out. But I think I don't know how long. I'm saying probably about 10 minutes. I'm not entirely sure what was happening. But also, it was such a nonsense film anyway. It's just random shit happens that I'm not sure that if it really made much difference.
What could I liken it to?
Spirited Away.
Wise. Yes, Spirited Away, where you follow a child who goes into this world, a fish out of water.
Well, get this how this film starts, because this is new territory for Studio Ghibli.
Okay.
It starts, get this, with a kid and his dad, because the mother, not around anymore. They're moving house, right? They're in a car. They come to they're moving to the countryside. Yeah, he goes to the countryside. Guess what happens to him? Weird shit. Mental. You never get it.
That's every Ghibli film you've just described.
I've seen 4 Ghibli films. That's how 3 of them start. They could have just cut that bit. Like Godzilla, we just immediately they just know in Godzilla -1, the audience knows who that is. We've done that before. Great. Let's just get straight into Godzilla. This they should have just been he's in the house. Weird shit starting. We know the score. He's moved there from the past. It's fine. Cut the first 10 minutes. We know that happened because it's a Ghibli film.
I mean, we've just described it. That is the story, essentially. He moves to the countryside, and then stuff happens to him. It's all very metaphorical. The composer for every Miyazaki feature since 1984, Joe Hisaishi, which is probably not how you pronounce it, so please tell me below how I mispronounced it, has said that this is a movie that you have to feel and not search for meaning in.
Yeah, I get that. I mean, I talked briefly when I talked about Beau's Afraid about sorts of movies where it's not really conventional structure. It's just they go from A to B, encountering the strangest things you've ever seen. If I'm honest, these aren't really my sorts of films. Controversially, because everyone thinks it's the best film I've made, I don't really like Spirited Away very much. And that's because I think it reminded me of when I have nightmares, which I get is the point, but I do dream stuff like that. I feel like my dreams are very... Do you know what my dream was 2 nights ago? So Graham Linehan, creator of Father Ted and the IT Crowd, has opened a theme park, and he was letting me onto a ride that was it was a mixture between a triple decker bus and a house, and it shook. And he was letting me on it, and he was like...
Triple decker bus.
And like the night bus, but it was bigger, and it didn't have wheels. It was like a house, but it looked a bit like a bus. Anyway, he was letting me on it, and he was like, I'm just so happy that so many young people know that you're born the sex that you are. He was just saying shit. And I was I'm just sort of here for the rides, mate. And then I was on the shaky house ride, and he was just calling me a cuck. See, that's a strange dream for someone. Yeah.
That is a strange dream.
And then the night before that, I was in an airport, and they arrested me for being a terrorist. And I wasn't a terrorist. I was just talking about bombs or something. And then they wouldn't let me on the flight.
Great.
And then, suddenly they're interrogating me in the middle of the desert in Africa. And that doesn't make sense. Why was that my dream? And so I feel like Spirited Away and this too are the sorts of things that I dream. And it's I quite like waking up from them and being well, that wasn't real. Whereas this is I've been forced to live through it.
Okay,
that's something that only is relatable to me, I think.
Yeah, I think let's go into spoilers. I think I want to break this down from start to finish. I want to really look into it. I would recommend seeing The Boy and the Heron. I think it's gorgeous.
There's not to say that there aren't bits that I think are very good.
I think I watched the English voice acting.
So did I. That was the only one
very good.
It was very good. I thought Robert Pattinson is a really good voice actor. First of all, it doesn't sound anything like him. You wouldn't know it was him. But he acts like a voice actor. It's not Christian Bale. I've seen in Howl's Moving Castle as well. He plays Howl. I don't think he's a very good voice actor. I don't think in either of these films he was particularly good. But Robert Pattinson, oh my god, he's great.
Great. And there's the story of him turning up to the recording session with an impression on his iPhone. And then he played it to the director, and the director was like, yeah, okay. And then did all of his lines in 2 days.
I didn't know that.
Fair play.
Yeah.
So let's start with pre-Crazy World. We've got what's the boy called again?
Mojito.
We've got Mojito.
Is that right? I remember it was the name of a cocktail. So it's either that or Bloody Mary. I think he's called Mojito.
So Mojito is running through Tokyo, World War II, fire. The animation style change from very rigid outlined cells, I guess, to like that weird flowy. Every frame was redrawn.
Yeah,
it was like all melding together. Great, like what a sense of discomfort and not really being able to recognize what's around him.
Yeah,
and then he reaches the hospital, and it's completely gone, and that kind of leads him into why he goes into this world. He then gets to the countryside and gets bullied a bit, doesn't he, by that heron?
He does.
And the heron kind of tempts him with seeing his mum again, and he has that longing to say goodbye that he didn't get, and he dreams of her, and he dreams of fire, he dreams of everything going up in a blaze, and seeing his mum again. We've got some interesting characterization of Mojito at the start.
What, the bit where he smashed his head with a rock?
Yeah.
I was not expecting that.
Goes in an outcast, and then you kind of see it's dialogueless from afar. He gets pushed by a kid.
Yeah.
And then he ends up just jumping on the boy.
It seems to be...
He gets into a fight.
Wasn't it like... So his dad was... Because his dad's like rich, he runs like a factory
Very
there.
rich,
So
yeah.
he's like, oh, I'm going to make you cool immediately by pulling you to school in a nice car. And instead they just bully him.
Yeah. Poor Mojito.
They're all poor.
Yeah, and then he does his head in with a rock.
Yeah.
And just
I feel like
obsessive
there's like
amounts
the
of
most blood in this out of
Yeah.
any Ghibli film I've seen. Like, there's also the Willem Dafoe... What bird was he? Whatever bird he was.
Pelican.
Pelican, yeah. At the, like, that was dying, like,
Yeah.
in Florence Pugh's garden. Like, he was very bloody too.
Yeah, so that's interesting. What does that tell us about Mojito? He's a liar.
I'm going to float a theory at you. What if
Go on.
he bashed his head in with that rock, and
my
that's why he's
God.
seeing weird shit?
Oh my god, you should write for IGN.
It was all a dream. It was all in his head.
That'd be great.
It's crazy.
Wow.
He's just gone mad.
Yeah, and he lies to his dad about it, and his dad kind of goes off the rails. Doesn't want to go to school. His dad goes in and causes a big hoo-ha with this incident of his head being done in. And that's when he starts seeing the heron.
Yeah.
At first, it's just kind of floating around, coming up to the window. Lovely, lovely sequence of when the heron's on the roof. Oh my god, when he's laying in bed, and you've just got the build of him looking up, hearing the noise, and then you get the feet on the roof.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. And the heron talks to him in my favourite sequence of the film, where he goes out to the pond.
Yeah.
And the heron's like, you're the long-awaited one. If you want to come and see your mum again, go to that building.
I thought that, yeah, I found that like so horrible. Like when you see his like eyes, like
You see like his nose
But I
and
remember
his real mouth and
you
beak.
see like
and-
slightly more and more. Like you see
Yeah,
teeth first,
big teeth,
and then you see his
yeah.
eyes, and then you see like a big nose underneath the bill. That was like a really creepy image. I thought it's horrible.
And the fish talking to him. I love the fish. And the frogs calling on
jump
him.
all over him. Yeah,
Bro, if the fish were talking to me and the frogs were like, come and join our realm, I'm gone.
I'm
going to
live
the
in
world of
frog- in
talking
the frog
frogs.
realm. I want to live in the parakeet realm. That was sick.
So he's then warned, isn't he, that don't go into this realm. Your mum, when she lived here when she was younger, went there and vanished for a year and then came back.
Yeah.
So you're like, as an audience member, I know who he's going to see in there then. Any young girl is going to be his mum.
Yep.
He goes in there.
But she was his mum.
Is that a joke?
No,
Is
that was just a
joke
funny
face?
little bit. I knew that she was.
I was like, that sounded quite serious, but your face tells me it's not.
I did fall asleep at one point, but it was slightly later. I had watched this bit.
So he goes in to this realm with the heron, and you see a mysterious man who's Mark Hamill in the English one.
Oh, did he show up this early? Because I was probably gone by that point.
At a distance, and tells the heron to be the boy's guide.
Okay. Because I first drifted off when they went into like the heron's house. I woke up and he was just a man with a big nose. I was like, oh, he's taking the costume off. So I missed that. But
Oh, you missed the fight with the heron.
I saw some of a bit where they were inside a house and there was like a chest, I think, in a big round room. But most of that I was gone for.
Okay. So he's trapped in this world with Florence Pugh. Who plays,
I missed their
Kiriko.
meeting. So I woke up when like a graveyard was burning, and they're like, "Mojito, you just burned that graveyard." I think that was what was happening. And then Florence Pugh was there. I was like, "Well, who's she?"
What, when she's on the boat?
Yeah, I watched them like leaving on the boat.
Yeah, so he goes into this world with Kiriko, who's one of the housekeepers, and then she shows up again in this story as a younger version of herself in this like weird world, and there are like pelicans about.
Oh wait, so Florence Pugh was one of the housekeepers. That's why there's the statue of her.
Yes.
So they're the same character. Got it.
Same character.
Cool.
And then it just kind of happens. He goes from place to place. I wish there was more of the heron. I wish he shows up more.
Well, you never really see him as a heron again, really.
No.
Right at the end, he puts the costume back on.
Yeah.
But he's mostly just a short man with a big nose.
But you spend some time with Kiriko and in her world, and you see these like little balloon men who go up.
They
and
look
they're
like the
souls.
Adipose from Doctor Who, I thought.
Yeah, they
when
did.
They're like
They did.
floating up to the sky.
Yeah. And the pelicans show up and start eating the adipose.
But they were meant to
And
be
then
like... It's like a Soul, the Pixar movie, weren't they meant to be like kids who haven't been born yet, like The Great Before?
Yes, exactly. Yeah. And then this little girl turns up, and her powers are fire. So I wonder who she could be. And she starts burning all the pelicans to save the souls going up to be born. And this is when you meet Willem Dafoe for 30 seconds as the noble pelican who dies. He was pretty cool. And then the journey continues. It's just nonsense.
So I don't think
and the journey continues
because I've been awake for all of this from then on.
So then he meets up with the girl, who's then his mum, and then he wants to go and meet the creator of this realm, who is his uncle. And his uncle's like, "You need to take over this realm."
Was he actually his uncle? Because I thought that was just like...
Actually, it was his great uncle.
Great uncle,
actually.
Because like in like Japanese like language, and it was the same in the subtitles. Like they call people like big sister or like grandmothers, but that's just what they say to like an older woman or like to someone.
Yeah.
I didn't know if like they were actually related or like calling him like grand uncle was just like what they call like an old fella.
And like the dad's new wife is actually her sister.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I got that. That was weird.
And then it was weird, and it wasn't like you're not really told it.
No.
Mojito is then given the option to run the realm, because the great uncle's going to die.
Yeah.
But Mojito, I guess he learnt through the story that he wasn't a very good guy.
Yeah.
And says no,
He just isn't,
and then the realm dies.
The responsibility just isn't for him.
Yeah. And there are parakeets in there that eat people, and the talking frogs don't come back, which is sad.
The lead parakeet is Dave Bautista.
Dave Bautista, yeah. I don't. This must be such a boring review because it's.
I know we're just describing, that's look right. I'm just gonna go out there and say, from describing that plot of that film, how can people describe it as a masterpiece? It's not. There's nothing. It might be like, oh, that was quite a fun watch. That was a nice little, like, some nice vibes, like, a nice little escapism. But people are, like, giving it 5 stars. Like, I'm sorry, but he just came up with a list of random shit. That's not... There's nothing to that. It's the same as any Ghibli film. Like, I get why you'd like it, but for me... You could just come... Okay, well, there's pigmen. So he goes to a place, and then there's pigmen, and then they sing a song, and then it turns out one of them's got like water powers, and then he drowns the place, and then he's trying to swim, and then he's saved by a fish, and then the fish is actually a man in a costume, and then it's like that's not difficult to come up with, and that's all.
You've seen that Ghibli film, have you?
Yeah. I don't. For me, it's the same as like when Everything Everywhere All at Once won Best Picture. Great story, great themes. It's a very good film, but like people acting like the Ratatouille, the Ratatouille, whatever stuff, and the hot dog fingers was like genius. It's like, no, it's not. It's just random shit.
Silly.
Anyone can come up with stuff like that. And so this whole movie is just stuff. For me, I feel like maybe I couldn't, but I think I could. I feel like most people could come up with something like that.
You just did. You just wrote one.
Yeah. But that's why I don't understand why it's so genius. It doesn't even mean anything. If it was like a great metaphor, sure.
Well, my favourite Ghibli film is Princess Mononoke, which is a metaphor and has themes and has a story. So it's good. I really like that one.
I liked Howl's Moving Castle because it had a story. And I think, for me, like, the parts that I was less interested in is when... Is it Sophie, the main girl? I think she's called. Because, like, basically, her main objective is to stop being a disgusting old hag and get restored to being a young woman. And, like, when she was really, like, into, like, okay, I'm going to make sure I get my old self back, cool. But when she just suddenly didn't care and just irrelevant things were happening, I was like, you've lost me here. I just feel like it's important in a story to have the main character really care about their goal. And that's why Mojito didn't really have a goal. I mean, it was to, I guess, get home.
He was... but even that wasn't his goal. Because he went back in. His goal was to find his mum. That was his goal.
Well, yeah, I guess, yeah.
And he learns that the girl was his mum towards the end. And he saves her, I guess. He pulls her out. And he destroys the realm. He saves his auntie.
I think he's like, okay, you can live then if you come with me, or you don't go back there. And she's like, no, I'm going to do it anyway because I want to.
Just for bants, yeah.
It's just something to do in it.
Yes, I really don't know. I don't know. It's such a hard one. I enjoyed it because of the world building, how unique it was, but it's not a film for story and investment in characters, unfortunately. It's just not that.
I think it's just a case of I like most sort of genres of films. I like most things, but that of course there's going to be certain types of films that some people just don't click with, and I don't feel like I get these films. Maybe if someone explained them, or maybe if it might be the case. I mean, there's some things you watch where you didn't really connect to it the first time. You watch it again, you're like, oh my god, I love that.
Yeah.
So it's entirely possible. I could watch them again and be like, okay, I get it now. I get why they are so beloved. I thought the animation was great.
Great.
But yeah, I know.
I would like to rewatch it and try and follow more of the See How They Live. Is that what it was called? The book. You know, the mum left a book for him.
Oh yeah.
Like, there's got to be more to that.
Yeah.
But it's so,
I feel like there are a lot of
enveloped
details
in metaphor.
Yeah.
That yeah. I gave it 4 stars. I really liked it. I like the vibe. It's not my favourite Ghibli film, but is better than like Arrietty and When the Cat Returns. Okay. And those kind of ones.
What's that one with the earwig, that like CGI one?
Oh, that's shocking.
Is it like
the earwig and the whip?
Obviously, it looks disgusting, but like, is the story really
disgusting.
bad? Also,
it's so.
It's
bad.
not Miyazaki though, is it? It's some other fucker.
It's his son.
Oh, okay, yeah. I know his son did some of them. Cool.
But yeah, Matt, go and watch Mononoke instead.
Okay. I mean, look, I haven't given up on Ghibli because I liked My Neighbor Totoro. I liked Howl's Moving Castle. So
Moving Castle.
I'll watch Mononoke. I've heard that's very good. And there's another.
Castle in the Sky.
Castle in the Sky I've heard is very good. I think I've only heard a few more. Kiki's Delivery Service or something? That doesn't even...
That's lovely.
That sounds like a Nintendo game. That doesn't sound like a film.
That's great. That's cute.
And Porco Rosso? Is that about a pig?
Porco Rosso. Oh my god, Porco Rosso, yes.
Okay.
Great. What did you give The Boy and the Heron?
I didn't rate it because I fell asleep and I felt that would be unfair.
Okay.
I tried to find it online and like watch the bit I missed. I couldn't find it. So I will rate it when I watch it. Yeah, it's a sort of, I don't know. I don't feel like it's a bad film. I have no like ill feelings. I'm really glad people like it. It's just some films made for some people, they're not made for other people. That's all it is.
If you like talking fish and talking frogs, this is the one for you. If you like,
I do like that thing though.
Great voice performance by Robert Pattinson, just to further prove that he is a very good actor and not just Twilight Man. Then this is for you. If you like reviews that don't really review a film because we don't really know what we're talking about,
we just
and find this film hard to talk about, this is for you. I would say go and watch it. I think it's gorgeous. I like seeing an animated film in the cinema that isn't just CG. It isn't just another Pixar film where they spend years rendering fluff on Mr. Incredible's shirt. This is doing something interesting. Definitely say go and see this.
Well, if you're like a I think it's got significance in that it's likely the last Miyazaki film.
Oh, he said that, but he's going to come and do another one.
Well, yeah, probably. But if it is, like, I guess it's got significance that way, saying, like, okay, this guy who's got a decades-long career, like, seeing his potentially last one in cinema. Okay, so now we're on to filmmaking lessons. Joshua, what, like, advice, what lessons have you learnt from The Boy and the Heron or Godzilla -1?
I would probably take away the ability to refocus and reinterpret something so culturally important like Godzilla into Godzilla -1. I think it's such a unique spin. It's very reminiscent of what it's based on, but is its own thing. It's not just The Force Awakens to A New Hope. It's not just, well, we need to do another one, so let's just do it again. The people behind Godzilla -1 clearly had something they wanted to say.
Yeah.
And they said it in such a unique way, where it's not just another one. It's not just another film.
Yeah.
And it really shows.
I can easily see a director being like, right, I'm not making a Godzilla film. It's been done. It's been said.
Yeah.
This guy did take it and he did something completely new with it.
Yeah.
Which I liked a lot.
It's like if I was ever given a Friday the 13th, or if I was ever given like such a long running franchise like that, I would take the -1 approach of, well, this is what was originally said. How can I take that and readapt it maybe for a modern audience, or in something that I'm more passionate in, rather than let's just do it again.
That's like when people complain when Doctor Who's different. It's like, bro, it's been going on for 60 years. Like, you've got to do a new approach. Like,
100%.
You have to. When it gets like sort of semi-rebooted every however many years, like 5 something.
You've got to have changes. You've got to have eras.
Yeah,
you have to. And I would also like to include talking fish and frogs in my next film.
Yeah.
Do it. And that's what I take away from Boy and the Heron. On to Cursed Double Features. I'll go first. I've got one for Godzilla.
Let's go for it.
Godzilla -1 and the trailer for the new Godzilla and Kong.
Okay.
Just to cringe at how shit the new Hollywood system is and how they run out of ideas.
Well, yeah, I know. I can't believe they're still making Godzilla films in this day and age. It's crazy.
What have you got?
I've got, this is a really obvious one, Godzilla -1 and Oppenheimer, because they're both 2023 films about nuking the Japanese in World War II. And I've got...
Oh, God.
And I've got The Amazing Spider-Man, because a big lizard wreaks havoc on a city and is thwarted by a man who won't stop crying because his family are dead.
I've also got Godzilla -1 and the 2019 Jack Quaid Maya Erskine film +1, because that makes 0.
Makes 0, yeah. Boy and the Heron, got Austin Powers, because the costume department clearly saved on budget by just reusing Dr. Evil's costume for Mojito. Or possibly Mini-Me. And I've got Star Wars Episode 8, The Last Jedi, because Mark Hamill plays a wise monk-like character whose job is to keep balance and peace throughout the realm, but just doesn't want to anymore. He's just decided it's boring and he's going to give up. He's going to pass it on to someone else.
It's your problem now, boy. I got The Boy and the Heron and The Lighthouse. Both feature Willem Dafoe and Robert Pattinson in a film with a guy getting obsessed over killing a bird.
Yes, that's a very good one.
And then I got The Boy and the Heron.
This is like all like the A24 actors are in this.
I know, it's
like,
great.
Florence Pugh's
they've got
in
a
this.
nose for it.
Yeah.
I got The Boy and the Heron and the original Spider-Man.
Oh boy.
Because Robert Pattinson is doing his best Willem Dafoe Green Goblin impression.
Yeah,
throughout.
he is. And Willem Dafoe's in the film. They could have just got him.
Yeah. He says Godspeed at one point, and I was like, oh my goodness, he said the line. He said the famous Green Goblin line.
Wait, but he also says, I'm somewhat of a scientist myself. Did you miss that bit?
Yeah. I'm somewhat of a mojito myself. Make sure to leave any comments or Cursed Double Features or any thoughts or anything like that below, either on YouTube, on Spotify, on our Instagram, on Matt's TikTok.
No, I don't have
and we will
TikTok.
read them out next week. Give us your thoughts of Godzilla and of The Boy and the Heron. If you can figure out a way to review The Boy and the Heron in a way that we couldn't, leave it below.
Oh, go for
Because
it.
we would love to read that out next week. Next week, we'll be looking at Poor Things, which is finally out over here.
Oh, I can't
Thank
wait.
God. And we'll be pairing it with... How do we give a hint towards this?
Well, it might change, but I think the plan is it's a bit like Mithrigan, but
Yes, but more sexy.
maybe sexier. Yeah.
Well, that's us. That's our first one of the year.
It's
officially
funny how
recorded
I've
this
already
year.
come up with a cursed double feature for that.
Don't say it
won't say
yet.
what it is,
Don't.
Right, let's go.
Happy 2024 to everyone. I hope you all had a lovely New Year's, lovely Christmas.
It was fun,
Thank
thank
you for
you.
listening, as always. It wasn't to you. That was to the listeners.
Just to the audience, yeah.
Yeah. Can you not do that next time, please? Yeah, glad to be back. Glad to be back in the saddle. We've got very exciting things planned this year. Another interview next month. Very exciting.
That is exciting. I'm looking forward to doing that.
Have a lovely week, everyone.
Okay, thank you.
No, Matt, that was the audience again.
No, just okay. I keep misunderstanding.
Yeah. And Matt, I'll see you on the next one.
So you're talking to me this time.
Matt, that was
to
you
me.
again.
Yeah,
That
I'll
was
see you
again.
too. Yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing it in a bit. Bye.
Bye.